So in our studio today, we have Graham Abell. You're VP of Engineering and Site Lead for Workday here in Ireland. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks so much, Anne. Appreciate being here, and thanks to Silicon Republic and, of course, IDA.
Listen, it's great to have you. I want to start off, for those who wouldn't be as familiar as others, just tell us a little bit about Workday today, internationally, and then maybe about the Irish operation.
Absolutely, yeah. So Workday is, at this point, a very large ERP provider. We have about 11,000 customers globally, 70 million employees working under Workday, so a really huge kind of footprint. We can cater to all needs for business, from like your core HCM through finance, planning, learning, workforce development, etc. So got a full platform, and I guess it started with a premise that we wanted companies need to move to the cloud, and we help companies do that. And now, obviously, the next or current frontier is AI, and how do companies transition to that and start doing business with AI in a safe and responsible manner. So that's kind of the focus for us for the last number of years, and continuing.
Yeah, and then how important are the operations in Ireland? Do you have 2,200 people here?
Yeah, over 2,200. It's huge. We are the second largest site outside of our headquarters in the States. Our demographic is quite different for a US headquartered technology company in Ireland, and so far as we've got 79% of our population in Dublin is R&D, our products and technology organisations, we'd say. And that comes from the very beginnings of Workday in Ireland, which was acquisition of Cape Clear, for which our generations probably know very well. Henri O'Toole, David Clark and co. So that was a company that was kind of working on integrations for Workday. So it was a kind of a tech acqui-hire. And so that set the tone of what was happening in Ireland, which is very much tech-based, and that continued to grow. And a lot of those folks are still with Workday, and providing leading roles across the technology. And so from the very beginning, we've been leading across a number of the key global programs, including a lot of products being built and incubated out of Dublin. Our move to public cloud, built and kind of incubated out of Dublin. So we've been innovative from the very start.
Yeah, and I'm old enough to remember Cape Clear very well, and the acquisition. Remarkable bunch of people. Yeah. Workday clearly knew what they were doing there.
Yeah, and it's from 22, 23 people or something to 2,200. It's quite a journey.
Yeah, it is. It's remarkable. And tell me a little bit more maybe about, the operations that are led out of Ireland.
Yeah, for sure. So as I said, we nearly 80% of the population is in product technology. By default, that means we've got a lot of global leaders that are leading their product areas. Our product engineering team, which accounts for nearly 3,000 people globally, is led out of Dublin. Huge footprint here. That is the core product that we built is through those teams. A lot of our kind of our product leaders are GMs, again based in Dublin. Myself, I lead our kind of deployments and globalization platform based in Dublin. So we've got in any part of the company, we've got huge kind of influence and mandate to kind of go, drive business and new innovation. I think that's particularly important as Workday as a company focuses more and more on their global footprint and, winning outside of the US, where they've been massively successful for years. I think the population in Dublin, we've nearly over 70 nationalities actually in Dublin. Wow. And so we've got a very strong empathy for what it means to work and live in France, Germany, Spain, etc. And so we can really bring that to bear and make sure that we're kind of building a product that's fit for those companies and countries.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to Workday, but I want to hear more about yourself, Graham, and your background and what led you to where you are now, if you don't mind giving us a little potted history.
For sure, yeah. I guess from pretty early, I was always interested in technology, and so when I was in secondary school, it was my top picks were all kind of computer science courses in the various universities. So I kind of feel like I was always on that track. Starting probably from before that, even just being very into Lego and getting computers at home and all that sort of stuff. I did my undergrad in Trinity in computer science, and then. After that, kind of moved into kind of, I guess my first job was actually in Edinburgh, working for GE, working in a kind of a test role, or SDET role as we call it now, but that was for a electrical network management system. So the system you would run the ESP on in here, and it was interesting kind of going in for such a huge company, just gigantic. and then a regulated industry, obviously, and huge safety and all that sort of stuff. And so all of the kind of rigors and structure that went around that to make sure like there was no like room for kind of error with what you were building. And then as like we get into the kind of UAT stage of the software release, getting like people coming in and talking about like their lived experience using actually what happened in reality, and we'd be building software that you'd click a button and to isolate a part of the network, and then here and then it's like, yeah, but that's not actually what happens. Like there's someone on the ground and they physically isolate, the network, and then we click a button to say it's been isolated, and there's a check back and forth. And so kind of really early grounding in understanding actually what on the ground people were doing, and I think, very much kind of framing was like, actually, what's the outcomes we need? How do we make this stuff easier for the people we're serving? I think that's been a kind of was an early key lesson and something that continues to this day. It's like, I think certainly in technology, we can all kind of get caught up in the hype of new shiny things, whether it's blockchain or AI and all that, and kind of forget about, well, we need to solve real world problems at the end of this. And, trying to continue and maintain that focus ultimately leads to kind of better outcomes.
Yeah. And then after GE?
Yeah, sorry. GE came back to Ireland, worked for a smattering of companies like AIG, Pocket Kings of online poker, back into what was Fenergo, like their first year. And then Paddy Power for a number of years. So back and forth between very highly regulated, large kind of financial institutions, and then, a lot of gambling as well, I suppose. And then finally, about 9 years ago, joined Workday. And so, again, another kind of pivot. And through that, learned a huge amount, different parts of the industry, understanding different users, kind of very different needs. And also from like kind of B2B to very much obviously in any gambling stuff, B2C and pace and data driven, and very just a different focus on like if anything's going wrong, you're kind of losing money, and and so ultimately kind of learning a lot of stuff through that kind of through different roles, moving into leadership, taking on larger organizations, and then continuing that journey in Workday.
Yeah. So you're a site lead here with a very much background in software. Tell us a little bit about what a good leader looks like in your view.
Yeah, well, I guess I've been lucky in having worked for a lot of what I consider great leaders, and but also they're all different, and you learn different things from each of them, and you try and take some of that away. And I think probably what for me is recognizing actually you don't have to fit a mold to be a good leader. I think part of it's actually being authentic to yourself, and some of this I think comes with a bit of maturity and understanding yourself and kind of how you tick and what's important to you and what your kind of your value set is, and what are your red lines and all that sort of stuff. And so I guess for me, and where I probably flourished the most is with leaders who are kind of candid, kind of give autonomy, agency, kind of empower. And so that's the stuff I've really focused on. I guess I'm maybe going back to those early days, I'm probably quite process driven. So I try to bring in kind of structures and process to allow teams to be successful and kind of own stuff and kind of go themselves. And then you're into like understanding what the business needs are, trying to translate that, give some level of direction on kind of what's most important, kind of challenge, I suppose, like are we actually solving for the business problems? Are we getting distracted with, technology or whatever it may be? And then kind of, I suppose, as much as possible celebrating the wins, because I think it's easy to forget that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? My gosh. And, you touched on it there, but, the whole era of AI and automation and robotics, and you name it, all the sort of things that are happening at the moment. What are the trends that are most impacting what you guys are doing? And I'm sure AI is one of them, but
it's a huge, and I don't think it's finished impacting. I think we're still very much on a journey with it. I feel, and maybe it still is to some extent, overhyped in the short term and underhyped in the long term. But I think we're starting to see some of it actually start to materialize. Certainly from in the business context, which is what we are focused on. Some of the hallucinations and stuff that we've all kind of encountered, it's not okay if you're closing your accounts. Do you know what I mean? And so we've had to be very careful about how we approach it. We manage the kind of most important things for our customers, their people and their financial data. And so we've had to take a very measured approach, but also recognize this huge opportunity, and we get to kind of really empower people and remove like toil and, allow them to scale and bring them better insights, but really in a collaborative function of, here's some things that we think you might need to look at, recommend, whatever. And obviously that gets better and better over time. And so we see it as really, again, going back to like, how can we help the business be more effective? How can we help our customers be more successful? Because that's ultimately what we all want,
Yeah.
I don't think that's done by any stretch, and I think we're going to see continuing kind of transformation.
Yeah.
And part of that is probably even just in the workforce. How do we kind of transform skills and help teams kind of evolve? And that's something like we're focused on for our customers, but also very much internally. And part of our Workday in Ireland is working with our academic partners to try and predict that and provide kind of training and so in partnership with the IDA to kind of upskill our employees to kind of be ready for the next challenges and stuff that's coming.
Yeah, and you're just started on two things I want to talk to you about, actually. I'm interested to hear, obviously, IDA are our partners, so I always ask, how...
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you work with them, and it would be interesting to hear how you work with them on the talent side. And then I'll group these questions together, because the other is, how do you get the best talent for an organisation like yourself that is 79-80% R&D?
Yep.
And maybe tell us about some of the things you're doing.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a lot. We'll start with the talent.
The talent, okay.
We start with the talent. Some of the initiatives, some of the academic partnerships. And I'd love to hear, I know you have a long-running initiative, I think 2018 or something, about getting more women into technology.
Absolutely, yeah, and probably multifaceted. But so I think to start with, we've very long held deep kind of relationship with a number of universities across Ireland for talent, right? Our early talent. It's always something as a company we've always focused on, and in Ireland we've been particularly focused on it. So we've got large kind of cohorts of interns coming in annually, and the same then with our grad program. And I'm very proud of what we do for both of those things. I think they're very structured. Everything who is involved in them really benefit from it. And there's people on my team who came in through the grad program before I started, and they're now leaders and managers of folks. And so it's testament to the success of that and bringing in early talent and what you can do with it. And as you said, we we still have, I guess, a national issue and probably international issue in terms of the gender demographics across technology in particular. We're seeing some graduating courses still being less than 20% female, and so it's something we've recognised and tried to kind of lean in a number of ways. But one of them is we created what we call our Future Females in Tech program, and this is where we bring in kind of second year, third year girls from universities in kind of associated courses. And they do a 3-day program in Workday, kind of get to know the business a bit better, understand, do design sprints and a whole bunch of the sort of stuff that's kind of real life, and start to kind of build that relationship with them early and try and stay connected and whatever, and help them navigate, and also recognise, because I think through the conversations we hear, I actually don't know if this is for me. I don't know if like coding daily is, and it's well, actually that's only a kind of potentially a small part of the job, and a job in technology is actually very multifaceted, and it's as much about your ability to communicate and innovate and show empathy for customers and all that sort of stuff. And it's something that we take seriously, because we believe that diversity in thought is hugely important for the success of what we produce, and I think I already said it, but we've got more than 70 nationalities working in Dublin, so that's another facet of that. And it's the more rounded the voices in the design and implementation of this stuff, the better it is. And so
because your clients are diverse.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And so if we have a very homogeneous set designing for all this, it's not going to be successful. And so it's something we take seriously, and again, we're proud of kind of how successful those have been, and the fact that we have that kind of demographic in Dublin.
And has it been impactful?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. As a result of that, we've seen much improved kind of intern and grad ratios, to the point that I think it's probably 50-50 at this point, which given, as I already mentioned, the graduating percentages, we're kind of batting above average on that. And I think it's after that we have a huge focus on internal mobility, internal growth, and all that sort of stuff. And so, as I said, lots of folks are staying for very long times once they kind of join Workday.
Fantastic. And I was throwing loads of questions in one go at you. I'm going to come back to the IDA one. Tell us a bit about the relationship with IDA in Ireland.
Sure. Well, look, again, they've been involved since probably a very early, from the beginning. And certainly as long as I've been here, we've had a deep partnership with them across multiple different things. So some of the more recent programs, like workforce development, kind of helping us kind of get grant aid to support that. And we've done a number of courses around, cybersecurity, ML, AI, entrepreneurial leadership. As I said, we started from like an acquisition of a startup essentially, and we wanted to be intentional about not losing that kind of entrepreneurial spirit as we continue to grow. And so we were lucky to be working with the TU Dublin Business School. They were really great to partner with, and designed a bespoke course for us based on the kind of internal kind of language and focus and strategic goals and stuff that really kind of helped elevate a number of our kind of director population. Right now, we're working with SkillNet Ireland on an AI for Leaders program. I'm in the next cohort in a couple of weeks, in fact, looking forward to it. And so, just continue and focus on, that development and preparing for what the companies and our customers are going to need. And IDA being kind of key to being able to support that. And I think we just announced a large-scale investment in AI innovation based out of Dublin. Like, I think it's about going to be 175 million spend over the next 3 years, 200 jobs, and support from IDA and government through that. So it continues to be a kind of a mutually beneficial partnership.
Yeah, fantastic news over there recently. And just to wrap, if you like, any thoughts, with the background in software and everything, your thoughts about trends for the future, or things we might see? I know you have to include AI in that, how could you not? But your own thoughts about the future, and have we a lot of work left to do?
Yeah, no, I think we have a ton of work left to do, and I don't think we really fully understand the kind of impact it's going to have on society. And part of our reason for funding a chair jointly with TU Dublin and Trinity was, the chair is in technology and society, so 7-year chair position, is to kind of really take an impartial academic view of kind of actually how is AI going to impact on society, and how do we kind of provide policy for that, and safety, and what do we need to get right, and working deeply with those around kind of trying to take stuff into our product and making sure we're kind of at the forefront of it. Working with PhD students coming in and focusing on areas that we're interested in and maybe are concerned about, like how do we get this right. We've got a huge focus on, we've an AI ethics officer, it's something we clearly take seriously, and we want to get right, and working with our academic partners to kind of navigate it, because it's moving super fast, and I don't know that we got social rights for society, and I think we want to do better.
I think you do know.
Well, I don't want to point any fingers, but I think we could do better, and I think so. We're actively involved. Like, we were actively partnering on the EU AI Act, and we'll continue to lean in on all that sort of stuff, because we do think it's important to get it right, and we are taking it seriously. We want to make sure everyone else is too.
Yeah. No, good call. And then the future for Workday, I suppose, particularly in Ireland, and particularly it's looking very positive with the recent announcement.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you also, as we grew, we ended up in 2 buildings. We're coming back together. We've got a new fit out happening just right beside Trinity, so the old Longstone, which is, I'm sure, one of my old haunts anyway. And so we're really looking forward to getting back in there back end of next year, and everyone coming back together. Also kind of gives us more space for more growth, and just the future is really exciting. We've still got a lot to do.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming in to meet us.
Much.
It's great to learn so much about yourself and about Workday. Thanks a million, Graham.
You're welcome. Thank you.